welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle and this is my March Mystery Madness wrap-up video. I cannot believe that it's the 31st of March already. This month has flown by, but boy did I ever read some great books. I had some great discussions with you guys on Discord and during my reading sprints. I have really enjoyed this March Mystery Madness, and I have to say, I think that it's been my favorite March Mystery Madness so far. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the last few books that I've read for this month, and then I'm going to give you some fun stats. I thought that would be entertaining. How many books did I read? How many stars did I give them? My most favorite book, my least favorite book, my most surprising book, and my most disappointing book. So I hope you'll stick around. Before I get into all of that though, I need to do one more reveal for my 2x2 mystery game, which has also been really fun, and I'm so glad that you guys have participated and played along. It made it just so much better, and I learned about so many great mysteries through it from you guys, and so my own to be read list has just exploded this month. Okay, so for the very last roll of the 2x2 mystery game, I needed to find a book with a male detective from before 1970. So I'm going to go with The Solitary House by Lynn Shepherd. The detective in this one is Charles Maddox, who is a private detective, and the book is set in 1850. So I believe that totally fits the before 1970 prompt. I read one other book by Lynn Shepherd and I loved it. She takes familiar classics and turns them on their head and turns them into a mystery, which I love. The one that I read that I loved was Murder at Mansfield Park. This one's called The Solitary House, and she takes Bleak House by Charles Dickens, and then I'm pretty sure it's one other book, but I can't remember now what it is. So this is London, 1850, and we have Charles Maddox, who is the great nephew of Maddox the thief taker, who is the detective in Murder at Mansfield Park. So I love that it's considered the same series, but it's different generations of Maddox detectives. I also think that's very clever. He has been approached by Edward Tulkinghorn, an attorney who offers him a handsome price to do some sleuthing for a client, a powerful financier who has been receiving threatening letters. Tulkinghorn wants Charles to find whoever is responsible. So yeah, I didn't get to this month. It was on my pile of possibilities, but I didn't get to it, but I do want to read it very soon. Okay, so let's start with the books that I finished in the last 4 days of the month. I read Blue Monday by Nicci French. This fits the 2x2 theme because it's written by a pair of authors. The main character in this is Frida Klein, and she's a psychoanalyst. I think that's how she says it. Psychotherapist. And she gets a client who has like really distinct dreams of a 5-year-old boy with red hair. And then a 5-year-old boy with red hair goes missing, and you know, she thinks that it's not a coincidence. I really did enjoy this. I would call this a psychological thriller, and I don't tend to read a lot of those, but I did really enjoy this one. I loved that it was set in London, and the story was really interesting. Now, I need to talk about some things in this book that are spoilery, so I'm going to put spoilers across the screen. If you haven't read this book and you want to, just fast forward until you don't see spoiler on the screen anymore, okay? Fair warning. Alright, so the one thing I didn't realize until I was like, you know, partially through the book, was that it also fits March Mystery Madness theme, the 2x2 theme, perfectly, because there's a set of identical twins in this book. And so that was awesome, and that was the part of the book that intrigued me the most, because these were identical twins who had been separated at birth. And that concept is so fascinating to me. And I've read enough news articles and things about identical twins who've been separated at birth who lead such similar lives. It's fascinating to me. It's so fascinating. You know, they end up with similar professions. They marry people with the same names, and like it's just eerie, really. And so that part of the book was so very interesting to me. The big twists in the book were not surprising to me at all. I'm going to be honest here. I saw them all coming. which didn't really like reduce the enjoyment for me. I totally saw it. So like the wife of Dean, I knew, let's see, not the minute we met her, but definitely before it was revealed, I knew that she was the little girl that had gone missing from the beginning. I had figured that part out. And then the minute they said that they found Dean and he had hung himself, I thought, nope, he's switched. He's switched with Alan, and it's Alan that's dead, and Dean's gonna try and take over his life. I mean, that is so obvious from how things went in the book, and it kind of like annoyed me that neither Frida nor the detective ever considered that a possibility, and they should have. They should have, because Dean had already done that before. He went to Frida's house as Alan. So the fact that she didn't even consider that as a possibility kind of annoyed me. But I did really enjoy this one. Yeah, I really liked the identical twin part of it. That was fascinating. And then I read A Peculiar Combination by Ashley Weaver. This is the first in a new series, and this was fun. This was such a fun read. This is set in London during World War II, 1940, and this fits the 2x2 theme because I think because it's set during World War II. I can't remember now. Or it could be the main character's last name is McDonald and there's double L's. So, Electra McDonald, and she goes by Ellie. Her and her family are like locksmiths, but their sideline is you know, breaking into safes and stuff like that. At the very beginning of the book, they get caught, and to stay out of jail, they're offered a deal, kind of a shadowy military intelligence group needs their help to break into the house and switch some papers. And so the adventure goes from there. It was really fun. I really enjoyed the character of Ellie and her relationship with her family, her uncle Mick and his sons, and that part was really great. And I thought the author did a good job of taking characters who live outside of the law essentially, but you still enjoyed those characters. You were still rooting for them, because it's during the war, and both Ellie and her uncle Mick want to do something to help their country, and so, you know, they might be thieves, but they're patriotic thieves. So yeah, I just enjoyed it. I was along for the ride for the adventure. It was just really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I am really looking forward to the next one in the series. And then I just needed a good cozy, and so I read the next Monk. This is Mr. Monk and the Two Assistants by Lee Goldberg. I believe this is the fourth now in the series. And it was funny because I thought, Mr. Monk and the Two Assistants, there's an episode of Monk where Sharona comes back, and, you know, her and Natalie have to figure out how to help Monk together, which is a great episode. But I looked it up. So this was published in 2007, and the TV episode didn't happen until the last season, which is a few years after this book came out. So I thought that was funny, because basically, for the most part, when Lee Goldberg wrote the books, he wrote new stories that weren't, you know, related to the TV show. But what I love is that it's definitely the same world, and so there are constant references to events that happen on the TV show. And so I loved that. Yeah, having Sharona come back was really fun. And the other thing that I really love is that you get the main case that he's solving, but he also solves multiple other little cases throughout, which is really fun. I mean, I love watching Monk solve a case. It's so entertaining, and I love the first person perspective from Natalie. This is just such a fun, cozy series. I'm really loving reading it. And then I read Murder on the Rocks by Karen MacInerney. I don't know why I can't say that last name. This was a recommendation from one of my subscribers. So thank you, Nadine, for recommending this book to me. This is a cozy mystery set in Maine. And I loved the setting. I loved the setting. It's a little island off the coast of Maine with like 500 inhabitants in the town. And Natalie runs a bed and breakfast there called the Gray Whale Inn, and so I loved the setting. I loved the descriptions of what the island was like and what life was there, like what life was like there. And I just kept picturing Jessica Fletcher. I kept thinking of Murder, She Wrote. So thank you, Nadine. That was very entertaining. I do have to say though, I didn't really like the mystery, or like, I guess what it was, I didn't like the amateur sleuth in this. And this is my big pet peeve with amateur sleuths in cozy mysteries, is how they investigate. And she full on breaks the law multiple times in order to investigate. And her reasoning for it just didn't cut it for me, and that's a huge pet peeve of mine. I strongly believe that cozy mysteries can be written with really good amateur sleuths who don't have to break the law in order to investigate a case. And so I did not like that part of it at all. But thank you, Nadine, for recommending a cozy mystery to me. I did love the setting in this one. Okay. And then, so I'm reading 2 books right now, and I fully anticipate being able to finish them by the end of today. I'm filming this Thursday morning because it has to go up this afternoon. I am 75% into listening to Hasty Death by Marion Chesney. This is the second in her Lady Rose Summers historical mystery series set in the Edwardian time period. And I fully anticipate finishing this today. I just have like an hour and a half left. The narrator for this is fantastic. Her name's Davina Porter. And in this one, an old acquaintance of Rose's, Freddie Pomfret, is shot. And her upper class connections are required to help in the investigation. And her and Harry Cathcart end up at another house party, and there is another murder, and I just love it. These ones are like, they are definitely historical mysteries, but they're more like you're following Lady Rose through her adventures, and there just happens to be a mystery as well. And so as long as you're okay with that style of historical mystery, then you'll love it. I love the characters. It's very lighthearted. It's a great time period. And this is a reread for me, and I love this. I love this series. I've also started Date with Malice by Julia Chapman, which is the second in her Samson and Delilah series. This is set in the Yorkshire Dales, which I love that setting. And I really enjoyed the first book. Now, I'm only about 75 pages in, and this book has 380 89 pages. So I might not finish this one today, but I'm going to do my very best to get it done, because if I finish this one today, then I will have read 31 books in March, which I think that's fantastic. So let's dive into some statistics here. I read or DNF'd 19 books on my original Pile of Possibilities list. It was a list of 27, and I read or DNF'd 19 of them, which is very impressive. And then I read an additional 13 and 14 if I finish Hasty Death, and it will be 20 if I finish Date with Malice on my Pile of Possibilities list. So I think that's great. I had, like I said, I had 3 DNFs in the month. One is I just wasn't feeling it at the time, but I do definitely want to read it some other time. The other 2 were just no's. They just didn't work for me. I have 3 rereads, 4 if I finish Hasty Death. I had 4 5-star books this month, 2 4.5-star books this month, and 14 4-star books this month. So I really am happy with that. I had a great reading month. I had one 3.5-star read, 6 3-star reads, and 2 2-star reads. I had a really great mix of types of mysteries. I read cozies, historicals, thrillers, golden age. I read a translated mystery, some traditional mysteries, police procedurals, and romantic suspense. So I love the mixture of the type of mysteries that I read this month as well, which really helped me from not getting burnt out, I think, reading so many different types of mysteries. So let's dive into it here. My favorite, my least favorite, my biggest surprise, and my biggest disappointment. My favorite read of the month. This was hard to pick because I loved my 5 stars, but I'm gonna go with Somewhere to Hide by Elizabeth George. It's the latest in her Detective Inspector Lynley series, and I loved it. It was huge. It was like 800 pages, but it was so good, and I just love the characters in that, and the mystery in this one was really good, and the themes and stuff. It was just the full package, and I really liked it. My least favorite book of the month, unfortunately, was Murder on the Rocks by Karen MacInerney. I don't know why I can't say that last name. I loved the setting of that, but the amateur sleuth did like my biggest pet peeve with amateur sleuths, which is breaking the law in order to solve the case, and I'm not a fan of that. My biggest surprise of the month was Killing Floor by Lee Child. These are just not the type of books that I read at all, and so when I decided to join in with Stormy's read along, I thought I'll just read it. I probably won't like it, but you know, sometimes it's good to get out of your comfort zone and read something a little bit different. I ended up really liking it. I really liked this Lee Child's writing style. I thought it was very pacey, and I really liked the character of Jack Reacher. I thought he was an intriguing character, and so I was surprised in the end how much I ended up liking that book. My biggest disappointment of the month was The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. Yeah, I was hugely disappointed in that book. Having a book about the disappearance of Agatha Christie is intriguing. I love that as a premise, but that book, I didn't like it. I didn't like how it was written. That didn't work for me. The tenses, like she wrote it in first person perspective, but then tried to slip in third person, but still making it first person. It was just really confusing. I didn't like what she did with the characters, how she drew the characters, and yeah, that one was the biggest disappointment for me. But overall, I had a fantastic month. So let me know if you've read any of these books that I mentioned Let me know in the comment section down below, because you know I love to chat with you. And thank you for making this the best March Mystery Madness yet. And I will see you for another video soon.